that marriage is the link chain of the generations. If there were no marriages, like we would become extinct. What is your husband's best homemade meal?
I like Mike's beef noodle soup and Hainan chicken and all the dipping sauces that he makes.
Oh yeah, Mike is a good cook. I remember that during
better than me.
He comes from a family of cooks, though.
Yes, everyone in the Dai family is really good at cooking.
I would say roasting the turkey. I'm not usually a big turkey person, but like every year we have the Thanksgiving feast and he would take care of the bird. It turned out so juicy. The turkey turned out so juicy, so flavorful. So I'm grateful for that. I don't have to do the bird. So that once a year, I just take care of the side dishes and he does the bird. I was like, yes.
Hallie doesn't cook. He needs to eat. Like, he could just eat rice and hot Cheetos and be satisfied with kimchi for the rest of his life. I guess like when we got married, the deal was that he had to learn how to boil vegetables. So that's his job. Anytime there's no vegetables, he just boils it.
I think every time he's tried cooking, he's ended up like burning stuff, and we had to air out and like open the windows. Otherwise, like the fire alarm would go
Smoke
on.
detection will go off.
Yeah, there's one thing he always does well, and part of it is because I don't care for it. It's grilling meat. So he's really good with the steaks.
Does he broil the vegetable in the water, or you do like some chicken soup, something like that?
Nope. Very straightforward. He just boils the vegetables in water.
Put a little olive oil on top and garlic. Just sprinkle the garlic salt.
He doesn't do anything.
Oh, okay. All right.
God has a purpose beyond our own happiness. And one of those purposes is discipleship. I think to pass on the legacy of faith, that we would also become spiritual mothers and fathers to make disciples and followers of Jesus. Meryl, you're in a different situation because you're married to a pastor. So of course he's in the business of making disciples full time.
Something that really taught me, not directly, but just by, I guess, observation, was just like being able to go over to another person's house when I was single and just witnessing like, what do other Christian families do, like
the very normal things of life, like sharing a meal together, just visiting people. I think that practicing hospitality is just a tangible way to share that love with other people.
Just because we're all Christian doesn't mean like everything operates the same way. So I think I just learned a lot about like practical things about maybe just how different people raise their kids or how they work together, how like different husbands and different wives, how that plays out. Not the same in everyone's family.
It's just really nice to have people from all walks of life enter into your kids' lives so they see other examples of like human beings.
I think when our kids see other families too, it helps them learn, oh, it's not just my own parents who like try who to say like to do this or like other families believe in the same things we do.
Alice, your family was one that when I was a young adult, I remember coming over to your house. It was just, you really feel the sense of God's love through another family's hospitality.
Pastor Hanley and Meryl, like when Mike and I did premarital counseling, we went over to your house. I think they were only supposed to be like an hour and a half meetings, but we ended up like having dinner every time. And it was like over 3 hours each time. And I knew you guys were really busy too, but I remember, and I was kind of new to FCBC also during that time. So I remember feeling very encouraged by being like welcomed into your house and your family that way.
I feel like every time Darren and I have intentional efforts to try to encourage other married couples, or usually they're younger than us, that we really face spiritual attacks, actually. Marriage is something that I think Satan really works hard to break. I remember one time before we met up with a dating couple at the time, Darren and I had a humongous fight. When they came in and arrived, I just told them, oh yeah, I just want to let you know, like, we just got into a big fight. And right after I said that, I burst into tears. Oh. And I was like, oh my goodness, who do we think we are trying to encourage a dating couple, and here we are, we're in the middle of a fight.
That in itself is a big part of discipleship, just opening your life to have another person see it with its imperfections and with the different things that we've learned.
And in that very humbling moment, I feel like God can use our weakness. There's nothing to hide, right? And
I've been really blessed and encouraged, like even more so encouraged when people share their struggles.
It's too humbling.
So I just feel like, open yourself, open your life to others. And I think that I just make the body, like witness God's grace and power.
Transparency in sharing like marital struggles, like that was so much more encouraging to me because I was able to see like realistic examples of arguments or fights, and it didn't make me feel so isolated when Mike and I would get into arguments.
And we live outside or live in disobedience to God, and we want to bring sin or selfishness into our marriages. Who gets hurt first? Our children. The whole aspect of Christ, his love for the church, it is played out through a marriage. And like one of the first people that get to see it are your own children. Like it's the most grounding place for children to understand love. And in that way, it's very evangelistic to live under a household of a loving mother and father. But before that, they're a loving husband and wife to each other. Yes.
Level of sanctification.
Yes.
It'll test your marriage in new ways.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And you just keep adding the kids every time you feel like you need some new excitement.
We're a little bored. It's time for another.
No, for real. When Haley was like 2, I was like, oh, this is sort of easy. And then Micah was born, and then Haley turned older too. And I was like, this is too hard. I was like, I need 1.5 kids. 1 is too little. 2 is too hard.
I'm telling everybody, it was so easy. I mean, because he was the easy baby, we wouldn't have had Josiah only like almost 20 months later. They're 20 months apart. It's like, before he turned 1, Josh turned 1, we found out we're expecting. That's how close they are in age,
that me time that you have before you're married, like you get how many hours of me time before you're married, and once you're married and then you have kids, you get
nothing.
No me time.
No.
Well, Leslie says my personal space.
I'll have so many women to look up to and ask for advice and help and prayer.
You probably won't remember. I'll probably just be like, it's okay, Aileen, it'll get better.
That's what I told these ladies. It'll be okay. At the end, you're gonna miss them so much.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
They don't even talk to you now. They have their own schedules. It's
when
like
they pass a certain point, that's all rosy.
Yeah.
I don't know about rosy though. I miss them.
One thing that we really have to do is pray against temptation and to guard our marriages, and it's a lot of work.